Previously on the LCS.
Ladies and gentlemen, today is the day, the official start of the League of Legends Championship Series.
Watch double.
8 North American teams take their first steps on the way to the Summoners Cup. Oh, don't mash me coming up there big time.
Okay, in the game, just one people.
I'm moving, I got it. The game's over. Just run. And the split push helping out so much for Curse in a game that was in the hands of GGU.
What was going through your mind most of the time that game?
Oh crap.
Just time!
And Dyrus picking up first blood.
I'm ulting, he won't strike!
You got shot. Winston.
One more! Let's go!
Get him.
No, boy coming up from the left side. He says, hey guys, you want to party?
Only one undefeated team, and that was a team that wasn't even pre-qualified for this season. And GGU, despite the 0-2, they look so fantastic this week, and I gotta say, they're one of the storylines I feel like people should watch.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Week 2 of the North American League of Legends Championship Series. I'm Rivington Bisson III, and Jad is back, and we're happy to wish you a happy Valentine's Day as we kick off the second week of competition.
The big story coming into today is Curse, who crushed last week and came out with a 3-0 record.
Well, it was a close game against GGU, but it's just the inexperience of these teams in the late game. It's getting to them, Jad.
We saw how Curse really struggled against the Twitch team comp from GGU and how actually good GGU was despite their 0-2 start. So Curse going to look to make it 5-0 at the end of this weekend. GGU and Vulcan are also going to be entering Week 2 with no wins at all, so they're really going to have to pick something up.
They have that. We have MRN and Complexity that are looking to get wins in here. But before we get into the day's matches, let's look at that. Let's look at where the current standings are right now. As we said, Curse 3-0 coming out here as the leaders of the North American LCS. 2-1 for both Counter Logic and Team Solo Mid. Dignitas is sitting right in the middle now, 1-2. They've got a lot to prove for themselves today, being thought of as one of the top 4. Complexity and MRN, finally get to see them this week. Going to be some great matchups. Vulcan and GGU, as we just said, trying to scrap their way in for that first W column.
And Riv, I cannot wait until we get the standings more built out as the season progresses, because even just looking at that little snapshot, you get so excited about making power rankings, see who's the strongest. You're like, man, I wonder how MRN's going to play. Is Dignitas going to stay atop our team? We have so much stuff to just look throughout this tournament.
We have a whole season to do it. Now let's take a look at today's matches. First up, it's going to be MRN's big debut. Standing in their way is going to be Dignitas, however, who's gunning for redemption after a frustrating first week.
Then it's a rematch of Vulcan versus TSM. Vulcan is desperate to finally get their first win, as we mentioned, but last time they met TSM was in complete control.
And our third game marks the LCS debut of Complexity, formerly known as the Brunch Club. It's going to be a trial by fire for these guys as the rookies take on the league leaders in Curse.
And finally, to close out the day, Dignitas will face off in a rematch against TSM. Last week was all about TSM, and there's no way Dignitas forgot about that one.
Right, chat. So coming into Season 3 here, as the season's beginning now, we're still seeing some trends coming a lot out of the top lane. A little bit of health stacking is causing problems.
And we're seeing this much more in Europe than we are in North America, but it's such a big trend. One of the things that happened near the end of Season 2 is the big tanks would get 300 and 400 armor.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, what people were saying then in team fights when tanks were jumping in, they're saying, man, we have no damage. We can't kill that guy. But now that someone's coming at you with 45 health bars and 4,500 health, you're like, that guy's too tanky to kill. I can't get this done. Obviously, this is going to be super exciting because it's the first patch we're playing on that has the Warmog's nerf, so it's more expensive now. I really want to see how teams adapt to that. Even last week, Counter Logic Gaming was running Runic Bulwark and Locket of the Iron Solari instead of Warmogs in a lot of scenarios, so it's going to be really cool to see develop.
Well, Jack, we have a lot of teams here playing this week that we haven't seen. Well, 2 teams playing this week, so we'll have to see if we can really start to devise that top 4 and bottom 4 North American setup.
And it's one of those things that's been happening for a really long time, at least perception-wise. It's TSM, CLG, Dignitas, and Curse. It's like, those are the top 4. That's the way North America works. Yeah. But now that we have 4 other teams in this league and they're playing every week, GGU was really close to breaking through last week. We got 2 new guys gunning in. I can't wait to see if we actually have a top and bottom 4 now.
All right. Well, guys, you've heard what we have to say and what our thoughts on the teams are, and we want to hear from you. Our question today is, which team could hand Curse their first loss and why?
Yeah, so log on to Twitter and tell us your answers. We're at LOL eSports and use the hashtag LCS.
We'll be responding to your answers live later in the show. It's time for us to take a short break, everyone. The first game of the day is right around the corner. Dignitas versus MRN. Don't go anywhere.
There's a lot of opportunity for players to rise, players to fall.
We haven't practiced together as much, we just formed, but I think within a month they'll definitely know that we're good.
If we keep playing how we've been practicing, I think we are the team to make it all the way.
Welcome back to the North American LCS live from Los Angeles. This is the one MRN fans have been waiting for. The time is finally here for these guys to enter the Rift and take on Dignitas.
And this is MRN's first game of the LCS. They were the last team to qualify for Season 3 on the final day. Also the only team to qualify from the online qualifiers, so it's going to be huge to see how they debut.
MRN loves to do things just at the last minute. Coming back from by 6K gold in the LCS to win, qualifying for the 32-team online qualifier within the last 30 minutes, getting from 52nd to 32nd spot. So, guys, this game is also going to be a strength test for Dignitas, as MRN is coming in here for their first win of the LCS as their first game. Dignitas is the one sitting in the middle right now, and people are still kind of wondering what's going to come from them.
After the 1-2 that Dignitas had last week, there's a lot of people questioning them. Even maybe they're questioning themselves. They really want to be respected, and if they want to be respected, they need to take care of business against MRN, get back to 500, get that 2-2 record, and this game's going to be really important for them to get there.
Well, a big factor, and one of the people we've heard the most from is going to be Kiwi Kid. He's matched up against Mega Zero, but he's been kind of inconsistent.
He had such an up and down first week, a 0.3 KDA against TSM, and then in their victory against Vulcan, 7.5 on Katarina. He had the teleport Katarina, went bot lane multiple times, really cleaned up. So his matchup against Mega Zero, who is one of the carries of MRN, is going to be extremely key.
Well, we'll have to see what these guys think. MRN and Dignitas, the matchup coming up. Let's see what these guys had to say.
I think 100% the top 3 teams are all still underestimating us, which I think they should.
MRN is...
Our playstyle is really aggressive and we like to do really strong initiates.
We played them a couple times and they weren't that good.
I'm not too worried about being able to beat other top teams.
A team like that, they have a lot to learn.
I think Mega Zero is pretty good from MRN, but otherwise, we're pretty confident.
We might be a little weak against those top NA teams, but as the season progresses, I think we'll do a lot better.
I'm sure they'll get better throughout the season, but at the first couple weeks, I don't expect them to perform very well.
Just having desire is not going to be able to make an underdog team win.
So you hear what the players have to say. Let's check out the lineups for today's match. From the blue team, it's going to be Dignitas. Kiwi Kid in that top lane, the one we'll be watching with Crumbs in the jungle. Skara bringing up the mid. I'm a Cutie Pie and Patoy at AD and support.
And in the red corner, we're going to have MRN with Mega Zero in the top lane, Claky D jungler, Echo in mid, Heartbeat AD, and Atomic N on support.
And you know, this matchup for Kiwi Kid is going to be really another pivotal point for him because he has kind of been, not, I wouldn't say a loudmouth, but the most vocal for Dignitas. We've heard him say that he can pretty much beat anybody in the top lane when it comes to it.
Well, he's just a really confident individual. I think a lot of that has to do from Kiwi Kid's history in other games. Some people call him the best Han player ever, right now that he's playing League of Legends. Last week he said he was confident against every top laner except for Voyboy. Then, obviously, he got in a bit of trouble against TSM. He says that was because of the ganks from the Odd One. Just in that last feature we had, too, he said they're really confident coming into this MRN game, so I can't wait to see how they do.
Well, it's another thing that could tack on, which has been happening to the inexperienced teams, is that late-game follies that they kind of bring out. There's a decision for an objective they don't need, and teams like Curse have taken it on GGU, and Dignitas found themselves doing it as well.
And the great thing about MRN, though, is of these other teams that are new onto the super competitive scene, they seem to have the best team play in all of their LCS qualification matches. They really rotated well, they team fought well, they seem to have a really strong cohesion, so we'll see if they can pull that off against a team like Dignitas.
All right, guys, week 2 begins. We are into our first champion select, Dignitas versus MRN. The bands come out, respectful Jarvan band to Claky D, and just some all-around regulars, the Shen and the Gragas coming in from MRN's side.
And if we're going off of the LCS qualifiers against Team MRN, the Taric ban is actually really key as well. That's what Atomic N was playing almost every single game. And a lot of the junglers getting taken out here. Jarvan and Xin already gone. I wouldn't be surprised to see Vi get picked first.
This is the first time we've actually seen Jarvan and Xin both on the ban list. That Gragas actually going out because of Skara's play last week. It wasn't a win for them when he played Gragas. He had trouble in lane, but he was still doing the most damage, so they see that as a threat.
Skara is very comfortable on Gragas. It's strange because that's a bit of an underappreciated champion in a lot of ways. And I was wrong about the Vi pick. The Kayle being locked in very early.
Well, you do have Vi, though.
We knew it was going to get picked early. It was just a matter that Dignitas valued Kayle more highly. That's something Kiwi Kid actually played against TSM in his 0.3 KDA game. Obviously not fearful of that pick anymore.
Yeah, he won the lane in the beginning, he felt, and that, as he said, he was kind of winning against Dyrus, and then praised the Odd One for being smart in his counterplay. So he still likes the Kayle. Maybe he just feels like it's very safe in lane. Obviously, a huge help to the team fights.
We were actually talking with Crumbs just before here about kind of the top tier of the jungle, which is really why I expected that Vi first pick, because he said it's Jin Zhao, then Vi, then Jarvan, then Lee Sin.
Right.
And it was like, well, okay, but you know, he picked it as it came back to him, so not too much surprise. And Patoy's Alistair last weekend was killer. He was actually one of the best performing players on Dignitas. He's actually got, currently, the top KDA of all the players in this tournament on a 1 and 2 team of support, which is pretty impressive.
We've seen more people playing Alistar here and there in that support role, so we'll see what they can pull out with this one. They are going to lock it in as it's the next 2 picks for Marn, Echo and Heartbeat to decide in here. So far, they got a pretty good bruiser line.
It's for Marn, it's the dive composition they like running. The only thing they don't have is the Taric or the really super heavy dive. They're getting pretty comfort champions. As long as Mega Zero is comfortable on Renekton, they should be able to put a pretty good front line going. Echo had a very feared Anivia during the qualifiers. It was banned almost every game against him. The only thing that I'd be surprised on is if Heartbeat goes with that Tristana pick, because he had the most success on the castery AD carries like Ezreal and Urgot. So we'll see what they end up going for here.
Well, you know, within that recent play, we see a lot of the Blade of the Rune King. That Tristana pickup was one for them.
That was weird.
That speed boost is kind of, they're trying to just play off that for the fast objectives. But it actually looks like they'll go for a Kog'Maw who is just innately good at objective taking.
So this will be really curious. This is something we haven't really seen from Marn's bottom lane successfully. There was one game in the qualifiers where they ran a Nunu Caitlyn, and Heartbeat kind of struggled with the... It seemed like he is, at heart, obviously he's been practicing a lot lately. Heartbeat was a mid player, so he usually had more success on the carries that had a lot of cast spells. Urgot's kind of in the middle between the Ezreal and the Urgot. I want to see how they lane up against someone as experienced as Patoy and I'm a Cutie Pie.
We'll have to see what Dignitas decides to throw in here. Like you said, Cutie Pie and Patoy for the picks. A safe pick for at least Kog'Maw with the Lulu coming in. They can keep him. They have good peel. Vi can stop people from getting to him. Mega Zero on Renekton will be good for that late game pressure to keep people away from Kog'Maw.
So this last set of picks for Dignitas, I really want to see what kind of AD carry they go for to combo with Alistar, because they could go with something very aggressive as they get in the Draven. This is something I'm a Cutie Pie's been practicing for a while. He just hasn't broke out. And with the Singed, that might mean Kale is going mid, and it wouldn't be Kiwi Kid, so that could be a bit of a fake out.
I think this is the first time we're actually seeing Heartbeat on an AD carry as such of Kog'Maw.
I think you're right. I think he hadn't played. Obviously, this is the very first game for Marn in the LCS.
Oh, yeah, so
technically it is the first on everything, but taking the qualifiers into account, I think you're right.
So we are going to see this kind of focus on saving Heartbeat and then the diving comp from Lulu. I may have expected to see a Taric coming in here for these guys, but it's just too much for those dives to go in. They're trying to save and continue the fight. And we see this an all-in-your-face from Dignitas here. They have a really strong composition coming in that early lane. They could just be looking to crush Heartbeat in those 1 through 3 levels.
The Anivia pick would be pretty strong if they're able to lock it in here, because Singe for Kiwi Kid, if he gets going, is going to be very kiteable if you consider Lulu, Kog'Maw, and then you throw the Anivia wall on top of that. I believe that's what they ended up going with in that. Aside from the Heartbeat and Echo, that's a very familiar team for mine.
So with that Anivia pick, they're actually kind of just sectioning things off here. Whoever gets caught is really going to get taken down hard. They are going to get the swaps in, and Kiwi Kid does bring out Singe for the first time in the LCS.
So for Marn's team comp, it's really the 2 frontliners with Mega Zero's Renekton and Claky D's Vi, who are going to be going all out trying to kill I'm a Cutie Pie. The rest of the team is really just going to be putting down position control, and they have the real frontline, backline going on here. A very traditional team comp coming out from Marn. You look at Dignitas across the pond, and it's not as strong of a front line. Lee Sin can kind of fly in, Kiwi Kid can run in, Patoy's the support tank, and it's more of just everyone is a bit of a bruisery kind of middle of the ground thing for Dignitas, so I really want to see how those interact in team fights.
So we see Mega Zero taking teleport as well. See a lot of aggression him around that first dragon attempt time of the game. The teleport has been really big coming in the past few weeks for people. A lot of distortion boots being run on Katarinas for Kiwi Kid and others in the top lane. We'll have to see if he just decides to go to it if he has a strong enough lane.
Yeah, so Kiwi Kid did really well when he had the teleport, but this time it's Mega Zero who has the teleport against him. So when the team fight phase hits, that is a confidence pick for a bit by Mega Zero, saying he can handle Kiwi Kid in the lane without even having an offensive summoner spell. So
that's true.
That'll be an interesting matchup.
Well, he's always had good sense in lane, always remembers to ward. Mega Zero is, like we said, one of their top players, so he feels pretty comfortable up there probably on just about anything. But Kiwi Kid says the same thing about that. He feels comfortable just about against anyone.
He's a comfortable guy.
He's a comfortable guy. Always has a smile on his face.
It's true. He's a really positive pickup. I think he fits the complexion of Dignitas's roster really, really well. And it's just a matter of clicking for these guys because they really have to come in. They didn't perform for the first week. They gotta come up big.
Hopefully they click well as they are on to Summoner's Rift here as we start off your first match of the day. Rivington and Jap bringing you this one. Later we'll have Freak and Kobe on the desk as well for some more matchups. And it's going to be everybody going towards the bottom side here. And I really didn't think they were going to go for a swap here by giving MegaZero a teleport. I figured they were going to hold that top lane and teleport in for the objectives, but it looks like they may actually choose to do so.
Yeah, and look at the early game spread by both of these teams. This is neither team wanting to invade by any stretch of the imagination. They're actually not placing down that many early wards just because they have so many human wards. I don't think either of these teams is going to be going for any kind of aggressive play as they place down a couple river wards together, but nothing like we saw last week.
Yeah, these are really not even going to control whatever happens to the jungler's path. They're just making sure they're not getting invaded. It's very safe play from both teams, and really only the swap for right now.
And the big thing, aside from the MegaZero swap on Renekton, is the Elixir of Brilliance that Scar has picked up. The blue elixir on Kale at the very start of the game. He's really going to be looking to put some aggression onto Echo early. I want to see how that pans out because I've not seen many blue pot starts in mid lane.
Fair enough. So we see Cutie Pie in lane. They're going to take golems down here, so they may actually try to go for that very early lane aggression. Little do they know the lanes have been swapped, so they're going to be going up against that Renekton in bottom lane. He's not going to get the blue buff, not the case of not necessary for him. So they're not going to switch anything like that cheekily, as D-Man would say. And it looks like we're going to get a little help on the red buff here for Crumbs. As Patoy goes to the Patoy goes to help, and Cutie Pie goes to lane.
Another thing about the Renekton in the bottom lane is MegaZero does like to start with a red elixir in these situations. It's to protect against those early 3-man dives that sometimes you see between 3 and 4 minutes, and if they're willfully going into a lane swap, especially against Lee Sin, who's likely to start at red buff and then maybe loop around for it, that's big. And look at the aggression from Cutie Pie. MegaZero took a lot of free damage there. That's going to be a pretty tricky lane for him now.
And Cutie Pie knew that MegaZero was going to kind of just stay in that, and he took so much punish from the spinning axe. You can see Cutie Pie with that smile on his face. MegaZero in complete serious mode now, and we haven't seen really Singed whatsoever in the LCS, but how does he fare in the 1v2?
He's going to struggle a little bit, but Singed scales really well just off of his base kit, and one thing that he may end up going for this game is the new item, the Seeker's Arm Guard, the Armor AP. Would be really effective for him against the AD lane. It's just a matter of getting that item to see if he can pull it off.
Well, once he gets it, he is still going to have a good spot.
Oh, mid lane.
Oh, Q over the wall. Claky D takes a Q. The Ignite is on. The first blood coming in for Crumbs. The attack still coming from Echo, but it's not going to be enough.
And we were talking in the pregame about there not being too many wards, but the ward that Dignitas had placed in that lane is really what was key for them. Claykini was waiting for too long in the brush, and it just allowed them to spike a heap of damage. Scar with his blue elixir really didn't allow for retaliation, renewing the double buffs on Crumbs and allowing Scar to push that lane with impunity.
Yeah, even bottom lane is going pushed out. They know Claky's off the map, no jungle pressure right now from Marn, and they are going hard. The only one getting pushed back is Kiwi Kid, and again, he's just melee versus that, wrong ranged.
And that's to be expected in the top lane. When Dignitas struggled against TSM, they kind of lost all the lanes, but so much of that could be off of the jungle pressure, as Kiwi Kid might go down.
Kiwi Kid getting really aggressive here, one more shot! Oh, it's going to be Heartbeat going in, will he go down to the Ignite? He cleanses it off and he keeps himself alive.
Unfortunate there for Kiwi Kid. Really just two members of Marn that are extremely, extremely low. He got a little too bold trying to flip Lulu into the turret for harass. And the positive play that Dignitas has made in mid lane gets slightly negated by Kiwi Kid's error up top.
It looked good, but one minion stepped in range for Lulu not to get hit by the turret, and it totally played the opposite way that he thought it was going to happen. That lane resets up top as actually everybody backs there. We see Kog'Maw going for the Scepter since he doesn't have that sustained support. He's just going to keep himself racking away. See the Doran's Blade for Cutie Pie, and we saw him already use that damage to great effectiveness onto MegaZero. He still actually has his red elixir, which we see him usually go for in that one top lane or bottom now.
And this is a 5-minute dragon approaching for Dignitas. They've been known to gimmick dragons early. They have a lot of ward control with the pink. because of all the lane pressure and because they knew Claky D had been set behind, they're going to be able to get this one. That was a really nice call by Dig.
Great strength here, and it's going to put them up 1.5 thousand gold as Kiwi Kid putting on pressure in the top lane. Keep Heartbeat and Atomic there, so no trickery from them to do any rotation. Yeah, great map awareness and mobility by Dignitas as they pick up the first 5-minute Dragon. Definitely the fastest of the LCS we've had so far.
That timing was really, really impressive by them, putting the pressure on at the right moments. And another thing that's a little bit odd in this game, despite the 2v1 matchups, I'm a Cutie Pie is crushing Heartbeat in minion kills. For whatever reason, Heartbeat just hasn't been able to keep up without really much harass coming out from Sin, and he may just be missing last hits up top.
Have to see the mid lane still pushing as well. Echo doing some good damage, or Echo getting good damage done to him by Skara. They're really pushing all the advantages they have right now. You can see Echo actually looks a little frustrated on his screen right there. You can see him scratching his head, getting back to lane with a little bit of a sigh there. These guys are definitely on the back foot quite early in the game. Dignitas is going to continue to push their lanes with ferocity here.
Crumbs was actually just making some cheeky plays in Claky D's jungle. He unsuccessfully couldn't get any of those wraiths. Yeah, I'm going to go with a cheeky play. I feel like we're a worldwide casting team at this point. I can do that, Riv. But with that invade, Crumbs actually, minion kill-wise, isn't that far ahead of Claky D despite the first blood.
See Patoy just trying to play mind games here, getting in the face of Mega Zero, making them think they're going to go for the attack, but Mega Zero getting as much farm in as he can, trying to 21-11. Both of those guys are being denied pretty well, actually, in the split lane.
Mega Zero's still sitting on that red elixir. I think that's one of the things that's kind of curbing Dignitas' aggression a little bit and actually allowing him to get to that 24 minion kill sitting around the tower. Mega Zero maxing his Q on Renekton, which is allowing him to pick up minion kills just kind of like that, not allowing the turret to take them all down and trying to just get them in chunks rather than one at a time.
We're still seeing Crumbs actually back into the base. It looks like he's going to be heading towards the bottom side of that jungle as he sees Claky D. So knowing Claky D is going to be roaming towards the top side now, they may try to get a gank finally onto Mega Zero, get that red pot out of his inventory there. Still has it saved, a good headbutt to keep the damage off, but Claky D still hovering around the area. Once again, has to help push back that lane.
And this is an unfortunate game for Claky D. He really plays junglers that have a lot of early gank pressure, and that's how he plays when he wants to do well. But because he got counter-ganked and lost his double buffs so early in the game, he's really just been put off kilter. There's a word for that I'm missing. He's just off his game right now.
Put on tilt.
Put on tilt.
There you go.
He's not on tilt though. He's just struggling. He's struggling a little bit.
Little struggle. Yeah. Crumbs heading into the jungle. Looks like they could try to steal this one away here. Right. They do have good aggression. They do have good map coverage, and they just throw a pink ward down to make sure they're not being covered. Scar going to back on a ward.
8 minutes in now, both of the 2v1 lanes killed the turrets at the exact same time, which is actually somewhat rare. Usually you see a little bit of trading between who can keep their turret up for longest, but now the 2v1 lanes have cleared it, and it's a matter of where they go next. Heartbeat and Atomic are going bottom to free farm, and I'm a Cutie Pie and Patoy look to be going to the lane without a turret as well, so this seems like just an absolute reswap of the 2v1 lanes.
And we could actually see a switch up in the buys here. The Madrids for Lee Sin, and the Stone coming out for Vi. Now the Stone got a little bit cheaper. Claky is getting caught here, having some more trouble, trying to get those items in from invading, but it looks like he may go down here. Mega Zero's going to be forced to help. Good ultimate coming in from Cutie Pie as they go in. Kiwi Kid trying to get the chase down. The flip may be up in time here. They're going to have to dive this one under the turret if they really want it. Kiwi Kid actually quite tanky already. They could have the damage as Mega Zero throws down the ultimate. Another kill for Cutie Pie.
I don't know if it would have mattered, but Mega Zero was sitting on that red elixir the entire time. That was mainly Claky D going where he wasn't allowed to go. He was not far enough ahead to get that advantage. He did just have the Spirit Stone, so no immediate battle stats from that thing. Straight retreat, and they should have known that I'm a Cutie Pie and Patoy were on the way, so that was just another capitalization of Dignitas on a really small opportunity.
They grab that turret, they open up their map vision as well, and it looks like they have a pretty strong push going in here. Cutie Pie and Patoy showing no signs of backing up, and once again we find Claky D and Mega Zero trying to hold the turret together.
Claky D does have his ultimate up, but look at the dive!
Going in completely 100-0. Crumbs doing a good bit of damage there with Cutie Pie on the outside. Low mana bars here, Health Jap, but they're low mana bars, but they're going to stay in.
And they're just going to look to push down this turret, maybe dive Mega Zero again. There's a stack of about 4 minions here. not entirely sure what their plan is, but they're really just looking for damage.
Heartbeat,
and bottom Heartbeat
Kiwi
screwed.
just back and forth. Heartbeat thought he could fight this, but he's completely out of mana. He does not have enough for the slow yet. He's just trying to walk it out. He's forced to flash. Kiwi Kid cannot follow.
So barely made it to that wall to be able to flash away. I didn't know when I first saw that if his flash was up or not. So Kiwi Kid getting some of his farm back. He was pretty heavily denied in that 2v1. At one point, Mega Zero had 24, and Kiwi Kid had 11 minion kills, but because he's been left free for a little bit, kind of because he built the home guard boots as well, he's been able to rush back to the free lanes. He's going to look to farm a lot more and really become that giant Singed.
A big gold lead for 11 minutes into the game here. Just about 4,000 for Dignitas as they are ahead 2-1 in turrets as well and really controlling the game. They haven't made any mistakes for Marn to get back in here, so it's really up to Marn to find their way in to get themselves back on top.
Every role for Dignitas is in a lead right now.
Yeah.
Kiwi Kid's got a 500 gold edge on Mega Zero, and I think the biggest disparity is actually in I'm a Cutie Pie versus Heartbeat, because the Bloodthirster, just looking at items, versus just a Zeal and Berserker's Greaves is an immense amount of power. Because Dignitas had the timing on that super early dragon, it looks like they're going to force again.
And they have the ward coverage. They've taken out 2. It looks like Patoy is just going to be able to fend off on the outside here. They can't even get in.
Marn wants to fight this because they know they're already really far behind, but it's an extremely dangerous battle for them. They could lose the game here.
Well, Echo tries to split the team. They start going for Scar in mid. They aren't going to get the dragon. That goes to Crumbs, and they dive in. Cutie Pie in the middle, a great intervention. Mega Zero can't find the damage. Another double kill for Cutie Pie coming in. Could find a triple kill on Atomic here. He is going to get in. They push him into their own jungle.
And they're going to keep chasing here. Echo might be able to get away from Crumbs, but that fight has been a disaster so far, and they're going to continue going, maybe.
Crumbs with great Qs all game and the reinitiations, but they don't choose to go fully on that one, Jat. They have so much pressure all over the map, though. They can just calmly back off of this one.
You could tell that was a bit of a desperation play by Marn. Dignitas really forcing the pressure well, which is in contrast to the games we saw last week where they were kind of getting bullied around by the bigger teams going on. But this game early with Marn, the 6-0 score on I'm a Cutie Pie, the forcing of objectives, the tower diving and the tower pushing, everything has really come together in these first 12.5 minutes.
It's crazy, Jat. They're coming out of these fights as well, even after that extended dragon fight we just saw, with the ability to still do turret damage. So Marn always on their heels after these engagements, trying to go in for another attack, but just such good disengagement there.
Troy playing the protection Alistair. He's like an offensive lineman. Someone's coming and you're just, nope, screw you, you bash him away. Someone else comes through, nope, knock him up in the air. Continually keeping Echoes, or Claky D and Mega Zero's dive at bay. And this pressure is just going to continue, Riv. Kiwi Kid ran all the way back to the top lane. Everyone else coming up mid lane.
And that is what we really haven't seen from a Singe in a while, is a damn good split push. He's going to be up there right now trying to keep pressure on a Mega Zero. Mega Zero's teleport is down, so whatever Dignitas forces here could always be in favor of Dignitas. Because they can already win that 4v4, they can just engage whenever they want.
Crumbs tried for the sneaky steal on blue buff as well, but wasn't quite able to get it off. Needless to say, though, Heartbeat is trying to catch up in farm in that bottom lane. He has, fortunately for Marn, picked up the 2 kills, and the invade continues. Dignitas really looking to pressure objectives still.
Kiwi Kid throwing his ult down here. Mega Zero's going to try to get in and deter the take of this red. They're just trying to get something back for themselves here. They're absolutely being denied everything right now. Kiwi Kid still just pressuring, gets done there. They throw Mega Zero into the fight, and you can just see how much trouble Kiwi Kid alone is causing the team. He will not go down. A beautiful intervention there. They've wasted quite a bit on him, and here comes the engagement from Dignitas. Very nice stun from Echo. Is going to cause them to follow up on the top side. Mega Zero wants to come in from the back here. They flash to shut down Heartbeat. They know if this game goes late, they're not going to be able to hold off the Kog'Maw, so they take him out now.
Legendary I'm a Cutie Pie right there. The ultimate from Scar really keyed that off. Kiwi Kid's been the one forcing things and kind of baiting Marn into doing damage to Sin. She's not doing much right now. He just has the Tear of the Goddess and a Ninja Tabi with Home Guard boots, so he's not necessarily a threat, but that's where Marn is dumping their damage, and it's allowing I'm a Cutie Pie to come in the back of the fights and just clean up.
That's a really great intervention by Scar
look out.
in that fight. A good initiation onto Echo. They find Mega Zero there. A little bit of crowd control. It's just going to put him in Eggnivia. It looks like they back off.
Actually changed in the last patch. It is called Eggnivia now. No longer Cryo Phoenix Egg or Nivea. like the little touches we can go in there. And this is becoming a disaster, Riv.
It really is. Dignitas just has full roll of this game right now. Every lane has their name on it. And you know what? Part of the jungle is starting to have their name on it as well. Freely going in, taking the red buffs there and initiating fights whenever they want. 9-2 here. The kills don't look that demanding, but that gold lead, 7,000 gold at 15 minutes, 3-1 on turrets. And, you know, they have control of that, and they're warding so far in. It's just that second tier of turrets that's holding them off right now.
So it was against Azure Gaming in the qualifiers. It was 16,000 gold at 16 minutes.
Yeah.
No, 6,000 gold.
6. Yeah,
now it's
6,000
7,000 gold at 15 minutes, so an even more substantial disadvantage for Marn. I wonder if they're going to be able to come back. I mean, Claky D did just finish his Lizard Elder Spirit Stone upgrade, which is actually pretty important. That item is extremely efficient for him. But as an 0-5 Vi, I don't know if he's going to be able to get himself involved. Especially, I think, even if he gets the ultimate onto I'm a Cutie Pie, I think I'm a Cutie Pie is going to kind of just kill him in about a half a second with that red elixir if he decides to pop it. This is a commanding position for Dignitas. I wonder how quick they're going to try to push their edge. They know they have dragon timings. They've already killed the first 3 outside turrets. You know, the next move might just be continual harassment of the jungle, or they could go for more objectives.
It looks like Mega Zero is having a little bit of trouble overall. He actually just bought his Giants belt, but he's quite far behind where Singe is at right now in terms of items. And he's one of the tankiest guys coming in for their team in these fights. And they're going straight for Kog'Maw. Heartbeat is accessible to them right now, and that's what they need to stop.
He hasn't been able to get involved.
Right.
You're absolutely right about that. The dive shutdown that he got earlier was trouble, and Patoy looking to dive onto Claky D. Look at the damage!
Going strong onto that. Still has the ultimate to throw down. They have such good engagement potential.
I'm a Cutie Pie really just crushing, and that's the worst thing if you only have the kind of dive buddy composition that Marn has, is an extremely fed AD carry that almost negates your dive, makes you worried about going in because he's going to be able to take both of you out. All the while, Kiwi Kid is keeping the pressure on the other lane.
And they're even buying pressure. Cutie Pie goes for that personal build of the Static Shiv. They already have a crap load of split push from Singe, wave clear from Kale, but they're still going to go for more push. They want to keep every lane in the face of Marn right now.
Kiwi Kid just flipping up Mega Zero. Scar pushing up mid. Solo pushing with the Static Shiv in the bottom lane from I'm a Cutie Pie, and that is a lot of power. Kiwi Kid did burn his ult. I'm thinking Claky D might look to turn a kill on Kiwi Kid, but they realize he's the 0-2 Singe. He's actually not worth that much right now. There's not many good plays for Marn to make right at this moment.
They make the ping, and look at what he's doing. He's playing that old role of hotshot, just being a nuisance in the top lane, allowing his team to grab the objectives up, no contest.
Well, Hotshot did the feed strategy where you become worthless and then
pull
in. I mean, that came out wrong. You become worth not much gold, and you still apply pressure to the map, and that's kind of what Kiwi Kid is doing right here, not quite to the same extent. The whole team of Dignitas right now is actually playing extremely cohesively.
Cutie Pie on the run. Good thing he had that movement steroid, or he would have found himself dead and giving away a lot of gold. Props to him, 9-0 coming into this game. Also the highest farm in the game by a good 30 CS out of anybody there. He has kept himself on the map, and those are the kind of results you're going to get. A very fed Cutie Pie. He's got himself a triple kill and 2 double kills to really rack up that score, and his team is protecting him very well in these fights.
It's a good day to be a Cutie Pie.
Aww.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Adorable.
Marn, by the way, has purple shirts specifically for...
Pinkish purple glitter.
Pinkish purple.
Well, they love the glitter, so you can
Yeah.
just assume that's going to be on there. And then you put in some exotic color. You're good to go.
Yeah, they got rid of the glitter shirts because once they washed them, half of the glitter fell off. So they needed to get new Valentine's Day shirts. Unfortunately for them, they're not doing well this game.
No, they aren't. The shirts, however, a great tribute to Valentine's Day. You can see Mega Zero's on him right there, the little top curd. Zerk going down. Crumbs finding the bottom lane. They finally start to take down that second tier of turrets. The first one getting a little bit of damage down. They're trying to get some living artillery shots out to figure out what Dignitas is doing. Marn just wants a look at what's going on right now. They got to find a place to crawl back here.
They're kind of hoping that Dignitas just stupidly dives into an Anivia, but with the way Dignitas is split pushing, even if they make a mistake, the one kill wouldn't be enough to create an advantage of any kind for Marn. There's no answer right now for I'm a Cutie Pie and Crumbs pushing up that bottom lane. They're going to start getting turret damage already. They're trying to kill Kiwi Kid with 2, but I don't even know if they're going to be able to close on him.
Kiwi Kid does not have his ulti, or he has thrown it on just now as he makes himself away, throws on the Summoner Ghost, and he does get out. Like you said, Jap, they just can't take him down.
Burned an ultimate for an ultimate and an extra man. and more farming for Dignitas. That was another slight win for Dig. And look at the damage Cutie is putting down onto Echo. Forces the flash. Just misses with the ult.
Oh, good dodge by Echo there. Seeing it come in, they try to go back onto this one. Claky D actually goes in with Assault and Battery here. Good damage to Cutie Pie. He could find himself going down the first time, but again, his team is there to save him. Beautiful engagement again. Patoy coming up with a big save.
That's the fear when you have a 9-0 AD carry against an 0-6 Vi. Sure, she is amazing at getting to a target. She can get to absolutely anything she wants. But when there's that big of a power disparity, you just lose the ability to play the game, because anytime you try to pull off the successful play, which is what Claky D wants to do, he wants to get onto I'm a Cutie Pie. He just doesn't have the ability to get that with his items.
And this gets scary, Jat. Kiwi Kid isn't even in these fights yet, and it's just going so wrong for Marn.
And now Kiwi Kid's actually gotten the items. Despite being shut down in the 1v2, because they've been pressuring everyone on Marn so much, he has higher farm than everyone on Marn right now as the 1v2 0-2 Sentry.
Looks like he might finally join his team as they start to close in here. They have wards, the vision giving them such an upper hand. Kiwi Kid comes in to help finish it off. They flip him back into the den of the Lizard, and it looks like they're going to have some good damage here. Who do they want to focus, though? Actually, Mega Zero has to leave him as he knows he's going down.
It was just bailout time at that point. You are not going into a jungle fight against a team that's 10,000 gold ahead of you.
Yep.
Crumbs picked up the Oracles. They're tired of this game. They want to get this over with. They are so far ahead. They're throwing the Oracles into the pit. They have a few approach wards. Claky D's going to want to try a Miracle Steal. He had a really good one in the LCS, but this is asking a lot of Marn to try to come back here. They're probably walking into a trap.
There's the ward going down. They actually just stop Baron. They completely obliterate Claky D, making it impossible for them to steal it away. If they get it, it's going to be a miracle.
Yeah, I'm a Cutie Pie and Dignitas still just punching that Baron. Marn says, yeah, that was a trap. 4 of them decided to kill us on Baron. We're going to have to give this one up. And it looks like the 22 merit Baron goes to Dignitas.
So Dignitas with the first dragon, the second dragon, and the first Baron of the game as well. 13-2, 36,600 gold, just about 25,000 gold. A very big lead here for Dignitas. They could really make a few mistakes and still be all right on this one. They have the Baron Jat, a final push, most likely to come soon if Marn can't keep enough up in the next fight.
And right from the very start of this, Dignitas has really been on the ball. They had the initial ward spot to catch out Claky D. When they killed him, they realized all their lanes were pushable, so they really started to farm up. Once they pushed the lanes out, they realized they could take the first dragon, which gave them the early timers, and it's just been one play after another of Dignitas actually executing really, really well. So that regrouping they've kind of done since week 1 has looked so good. I'm really thinking they're 2-2 here.
Well, looks like they are much on their way to do so on this fantastic Valentine's Day. Second week of LCS. What are the chances to fall on V-Day? Turret going down in mid
1 in
here.
7.
1 in 7. You are correct, and that's why we have you, Grant.
Yeah, takes an important mind to get that kind of math through.
For sure.
To the
And I
masses.
believe it, because
Yeah.
you're Jat.
There's probably a chance that that's actually wrong, but we'll see.
24 minutes as we come up to that in this game. And not looking good for Marn. Mega Zero could not get to that fight fruition that he would usually be for his team, and that's the last card that these guys pull out when they're in trouble. They look to Mega Zero, but he can't do it for his team right now. He's still just trying to farm. Obviously, Kiwi Kid giving him hell here in the top lane, but he's still about 20 CS, 30 CS almost below Kiwi Kid, and all they've been doing is farming for the past 5-6 minutes.
And when we were talking to Claky D during the qualifiers, we were kind of wondering why they'd go with such aggressive super dive team compositions. And it was saying it's because their team actually doesn't have the full synergy yet, and they're easier to execute if everyone just goes in. This is a more traditional standard comp for Marn, and they haven't executed it quite as well. They're losing this inhibitor fast, and they might look to force something, but I do not think they can win a fight.
Good separation there from Echo, trying to hold him off again. Patoy goes in on Atomic. Atomic forced to use his ult defensively on himself. Kiwi Kid taking damage, a pretty early intervention there. And it looks like Dignitas knows they don't have what it takes to keep going. The lane's already pushed.
It's time to cycle the inhibitors here for Dignitas. They know Marn is quite low. Crumbs flashing in.
Atomic getting caught out once again, this time without Wild Growth. And it looks like they take this down. The inhibitor to follow here, Jat. 25 minutes, and the base is not looking good for Marn.
Looks like it's going to be a very impressive victory for Dignitas. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to finish off this push. If they can get some kills, they'll be able to. And there goes Patoy.
Patoy once again with the initiation, trying to cleanse it off. Heartbeat runs for the fountain. Echo is there to try to hold off the team, but he gets stunned up, and it's a last-ditch effort by Mega Zero doing what he can after throwing his ult on. Forced to the tower, Kiwi Kid falls to the Fountain Laser, and the Nexus turrets are in the eyes of Dignitas.
There's still 3 members of MRN that are just up right now, but I'm pretty sure they know this is over. Maybe they'll try for Good Spirits to hold this off, but this looks like a very quick 25-minute Dignitas win.
They couldn't get in. Beautiful job in every lane by Dignitas, really solidifying this one early. Mega Zero going out once more. The Nexus at half health. Dignitas trying to clean up the last few kills here to pad the stats before the Nexus goes down. And it looks like they're going to take their time.
They decided to end that one. Brilliant stats across the board. Patoy's KDA improved a whole lot because he didn't die. He's now 2-0-11, and that's got to feel pretty good for Dig. A lot of people were doubting them coming into this, and they really came out strong.
Well, for any KDA to go up, it's going to be Cutie Pie. 11-0-4, more or less the K column. But yeah, he is going to be up there after that match, just going for the early static shift, knowing he had dominance all over the place and that his team didn't necessarily need everyone in every team fight. And we saw that in Kiwi Kid as well in the top lane 100% of the time.
Haven't seen much Draven so far in North America, only a little bit in Europe. Or Singed. So the cute picks coming out from Dignitas really paying off for them.
Especially put them all
Great
together,
stuff.
Singed, Alistar, and Draven, same time. They're like, well, maybe we'll try one and feel them out. No, let's put them all together. Whatever.
Most effective.
All right, guys, coming up after the break, we'll talk to Skara, and then it's time for Vulcan versus TSM. We'll be right back.